up, fellow yaks? Join me today as we make our melomel. For any of you that don't know what that is, a melomel is a mead made with fruit, and today's fruit of choice is going to be, you voted for it, blueberry. So we're going to mash up these blueberries. I have my must. That's for any of you that don't know what a must is, that's honey and water. When you mix it together, it's not alcohol yet, but it's not honey or water. It's a solution of the two of them. That's called a must. I have my yeast is being rehydrated, and all my equipment is currently being sanitized. So let's get into this. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you what we got going on here. Here I got the must. This is a gallon of water with 3 pounds of wildflower honey. I boiled that about an hour ago. I'm just letting that cool off. Here I have a little bit of water. It's 150 milliliters that I heated to about 95 degrees. And I'm going to use this to rehydrate my yeast. I'm using Lalvin 71B today. And here's what that looks like. It's freeze-dried yeast. I'm just going to pour that in and let that sit around at this temperature for about 20 minutes. All right, guys. So what we got here is a plastic bucket. And what's significant about that is I'm going to use this for a variety of things. Right now, I'm using it to sanitize all my equipment. I have a mashed potato masher, or I don't know if it's really called that. I call it a potato masher. I'm going to use to mash the blueberries. I have a ladle, hydrometer, graduated cylinder, and then you can't see it, but then I have my airlock. So I'm sanitizing everything in the bucket. I'm going to dump this sanitary rinse out, and I'm going to then use the bucket to mash up these blueberries, and then I'm going to brew in it. Okay, so I got my blueberries in the bucket. This is the part I've been looking forward to the most about this. Just going to mash them up. And we got an 18-ounce package of blueberries from the grocery store. And here we go. Just going to press them. Alright guys, I think I'm satisfied with that. That's pretty pasty, pretty well mashed up. Next step is to pour in the rest of the must. Well, doesn't that look heavenly? I did that off camera because I don't have a GoPro right now, but basically what I did was I poured in the gallon of honey water, and yeah, here's what we got. Oh, this looks amazing. I'm very excited to try this out. I'm not going to pitch the yeast tonight. I'll get more into that later, and I'll explain that. But the next step I have is to sulfite the must, and I'm going to let it sit overnight. I'm not going to pitch the yeast, and actually, no, I don't have to sulfite it next. The next step is to take a gravity reading, so we'll get to that. Alright guys, so next step here is to take a gravity reading. I have my flask filled up with the solution. You can see this looks amazing. I can't wait to drink this. Like, it's pink and you see the blueberries floating at the top. But anyway, what we want to do is measure the specific gravity. That's the sugar content of the must before we pitch the yeast, and then after the yeast is through fermenting, that'll be alcohol. So the difference between those two variables, i.e. the specific gravity now, the sugar count, versus what's left over, will tell us our ABV. And I don't know how well that comes up on camera. See, I spun this around, give it a good spin. It's reading about 1.8 or 1.08. Yeah, so that's at about 1.08, and that's our starting gravity. Okay guys, so here's the starter that I prepared for the yeast. It's 150 milliliters of water, 1 packet of Lalvin 71B, and a couple ladlefuls of must with, I don't think you can really see the blueberry in there because of the yeast color, like the caramel color. And then we also have a 1/4 teaspoon of nutrient. I didn't show that on camera, but what yeast nutrient does is it adds nitrogen, which is necessary to wake up the yeast and provides it with the energy that it needs to start multiplying. So basically what we're trying to do here is we're trying to wake up this yeast, and I'm going to let it sit here for 24 hours before I pitch it. And on another note, I'm going to take the safe approach and use these Campton tablets here to sanitize the must. And why I want to do that is I could just throw the yeast in right now. I mean, it's warm, but after it cools down, I could add the yeast if I wanted to. Okay guys, and the next step I have to do is I'm going to sanitize my must using Campton tablets. The primary ingredient in here is potassium metabisulfate. We use sulfites to help sanitize wines. It's used in wines, it's used in beer, it's also used in mead. It helps rid the beverage of bacteria. So what I could do if I wanted to is I could wait for my must to cool down all the way and then pitch the yeast tonight. But I think I'm going to go with the safer approach and sanitize it first ahead of time. So what that'll do is kill off any wild yeast or any bacteria that's living on the blueberries. That's my main concern, is I don't want the yeast to be in competition with any wild yeast or bacteria. So, and they say in the directions, if you go this way, if you treat it with sulfites, you should wait 24 hours to pitch your yeast. I think it's the better approach because it'll sanitize the must, and then it'll also give the yeast cells a day to wake up and acclimate to their environment. So, here we go. And on the instructions, you use 1 Campton tablet per gallon. So, I'm going to take a tablet and grind it up here in my mortar and pestle. Alright, that's pretty well ground up. We got Heidi. Hi, Heidi. And yeah, I'm just going to pour that in there. Again, this looks amazing. I love the smell of it. It smells just as good as it looks. I'm really excited to try it out. I'm trying to think of how it's going to taste. I imagine it'll be... yeah, pour that in there. I'm going to stir that up in a minute. But I imagine it'll be somewhat dry from the blueberries, but also sweet from the honey. I've never made this before. The recipe I saw online called for a pound of blueberries, which I have a little more of, and about a gallon of water and 3 pounds of honey. If, you know, I'm going to taste it when it's done, and then, you know, if I think it needs more fruit, I'm going to add more blueberries, and if I think it needs to be sweeter, I'm going to add more honey, but we'll get to that later in time. So I added my sulfites, and then now all there is to do is I'm going to put the lid on this and add the airlock and wait 24 hours. Alright guys, so I got that treated with sulfites. I put the lid on, snapped it round, and put the airlock in place so no oxygen can get into there. That's going to sit and stabilize for 24 hours. I got it next to an empty carboy and my 5-gallon pumpkin spice mead. I'm really excited to try that out. That has like another 2 or so weeks left in primary. Alright, what up viewers? It is now the next day, and I have just pitched my yeast and added my nutrient working with. This both looks and smells amazing. And now I gotta stir it. And yeah, that's gonna be my activity now. Alright guys, so we are off and running. I added the yeast and the nutrient, and we should be on our way to a healthy fermentation. I may do another video about, racking and stuff, and do like some follow-up with this batch. We'll see, but that's going to do it for this video. So thanks for watching. Stay safe. Take care.